This is Croc Talk with Chris Croc. We got a really great show for you. In just a moment, race baiting. Plano student wins a $3.2 million judgment against a race hustling attorney and a mom who went nuts with bogus racial allegations, destroying this young man and his family's lives until they just got justice in a Collin County courtroom. I cannot wait for this. We have the young man and his attorney. Also, we have so much more on the transgender terrorist in Canada, and also just so much more on that. You're going to hear some sick, wicked laughter from this guy, just like all the other transgender terrorists seem to be somehow demonically possessed. It's unreal. Then also a Texas detransitioner, a brave woman with a compelling Wall Street Journal editorial today, and so much more. And also local schools with their ICE walkouts. There's another one that is supposed to be happening. A mom cries out for help. All that's coming up on Croc Talk with Chris Croc. But first, as always, Croc Talk with Chris Croc is brought to you by IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategy. Randy Martin's been my CPA for my business, which is what you're listening to and watching right now, as well as my wife's business. He is our family tax planner and our CPA, and he's amazing. Use him. All right, we're going to go just 1 second now live to both Asher Van, a young man who's 18 years of age. Do you remember what you were doing when you were 18? I was being stupid. How about when you were 13 or 14 when this incident happened? I was really being stupid. I think we all were. But what happened to him is unbelievable. And I'll give a quick setup before we talk to Asher and his attorney, Justin Nichols, who just won a $3.2 million judgment in a Collin County courtroom. And I could not be happier for this. For those of you who are outside of the Metroplex, Collin County is one of the big four massive counties of Dallas-Fort Worth, in addition to 3 or 4 other collar ones. This young man was going to school. He was on a football team at Haggard Middle School in Plano, which I'm familiar with. And he had a friend who was black and other friends on the football team. He had his black friend spend the weekend with him. He said, "Can you spend the weekend with me?" He said, "Sure." They spent the first night together alone. The second night, and he'll correct me if any of this is wrong, but the second night, the other 3 other friends approximately came with from the football team and spent the night as well. They were shooting BB guns at each other, going frog hunting with BB guns. When the young black kid fell asleep, they dribbled some urine in a cup of apple juice and asked him to drink it or had him drink it when he woke up in the middle of the night. That, of course, was wrong. They admit that. But the mom, after this, went nuts on an insane tangent. She went public. She put social media posts that were racial, race baiting, inflammatory, and she doxed this young man at the age of 14, and she whipped up the flames and fanned the flames of racial animus and hatred when it was not there to race bait and to profit off of this. Then she got a race baiting, bottom dwelling attorney who I've talked about for years here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Kim T. Cole. She's also like the other guy, Lee Merritt, race baiting, race hustler here in Dallas-Fort Worth, who tried to get me fired over and over again for a couple of years and failed at my radio job. And they filed suit first against his family. He was terrorized. They threw bricks through his window. There were people outside of his house boycotting and protesting him, terrorizing them. They went to his father's business. They branded him a racist, destroying his career. This is like Nicholas Sandmann, who was wearing that Trump hat in D.C., and that whole lie that happened. He sued fake news, CNN won. So I'm honored to bring in, and by the way, so it went on. So the race baiting family and the race baiting attorney filed suit first against him and his family, but Asher struck back, and Asher, her suit was thrown out, all sorts of stuff was dismissed, but Asher's suit stayed. It was the only one that stayed, and he won big. And every one of us needs to see this and learn from this. Every one of us needs to be unafraid to speak out against fake racial animus, against using this stuff, race hustling and race baiting, and to file suit if somebody comes after you. And remember this before we get into this. Never apologize. The moment you apologize or give a little bit of ground, they will take you over. That's what was happening when that race hustler Lee Mayer was trying to get me fired. Don't give an inch, my friend Eric Erickson said. He's had people swat him, boycott him, all sorts of stuff. All right, let's go to both Asher Van and his attorney, Justin Nichols. First of all, guys, Asher and Justin Nichols, welcome to the show. It's really great to have you guys on.
Man, thanks for having us, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I have so much to ask you on this. First of all, Asher, describe what happened from your perspective and how it turned into terrorism. I think it's terrorism. You may not call that, but describe the situation, how this unfolded.
Yeah, me and a couple friends, we were doing dumb stuff at a birthday party, which normal teenagers usually do. And it was all good. The pranks got kind of nasty, kind of out of hand, but for the most part, everyone was all good. We all joked, we all laughed, and no hard feelings. Well, about 2 weeks after the birthday, one kid and the kid who got pranked, they kind of had a falling out, and he told a teacher. Teacher told his mom, and then his mom kind of went all outrageous and, on a hate-filled tangent, trying to smear me and the other kids who were there at the party, who, mind you, were also ethnically diverse.
So the other kids that were there with you, was it 3 others that came the second night for the second night of overnight sleepovers at your house?
It was 4 others.
Okay,
yes.
and were they? You said they were racially diverse. This is important because this is all about people alleging racism and racial animus on you and your family. Go ahead.
Yes, it was one. It was 2 Hispanic people.
Mm-hmm.
It was one half African American, half white, and then it was one white, and then me, and then Samarian, who was African American as well.
So Samarian is the one whose mom went nuts and made these fake racial allegations, which we'll get to in just a second. That's Summer Smith, his mother. I want to ask the attorney, his attorney, Asher Van, who successfully won this $3.2 million judgment. I can't emphasize enough, Justin, I was so excited and happy to see that you won this verdict, and I vividly remember this case locally. Justin, this was turned into a national event and a case going after Asher and his family, correct? And number 2, why should this case be important to us?
Oh, absolutely. The media went absolutely nuts. Anytime these people could get in front of a camera, they were there calling these children evil, saying that this was a racially motivated hate crime. They were calling for their heads. They were releasing information about them. It was absolutely out of control, and they were doing it because simultaneously, Chris, what they also were doing was raising money on a GoFundMe, supposedly for counseling and private school. None of the money was spent for that, not one. But in order to keep this in the news and keep raking in cash, the claims had to get more and more outrageous. And here's the deal. For a long time, people have pretended like the internet is this secret, mysterious place where you can behave like any type of person, say any type of thing, and destroy any life that you want without consequence. And I'm finally seeing the tide turn. I'm seeing people being held accountable for their outrageous and unlawful behavior. If any of the behavior that they did or said or engaged in was in person, absolutely they would be liable. It's the same thing. Just because you light the forest fire online doesn't mean that you're not liable for the burn and destruction that happens. And that's exactly what happened here. And I couldn't be prouder to have represented Asher in getting his name back.
And that's a huge thing. Tell me this, Attorney Justin Nichols, why should this be important to us regular folk out here? Well,
it's important because it can affect all of us. Because even the most seemingly innocent misjudgment or stupid thing that we do as kids, or a small mistake that we make in a moment, that someone decides to amplify, to twist for their own twisted purpose, and their own financial benefit, it can have devastating impacts to our lives, to our wives and husbands, to our children and family members. It can have a profound impact. I mean, Asher, actually, believe it or not, we're at the 5-year anniversary today. This is Asher's birthday. And
happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It has taken 5 years for this young man and a quarter of his life to get his name back. And we have got to stop the insanity and stop being afraid of this boogeyman label that these quite frankly, leftists are free to apply to anyone who they don't like or anyone they may like just for their own gain, and stop this craziness descent that we have descended to in our country.
Attorney Justin Nichols, this to me is like racial extortion. You make up lies and say this young man from Plano is a racist and is making racial attacks, and then dox him, terrorize him and his family, bricks thrown through his window, protests outside of his house, trying to destroy his father's business. And then you want money from people, and you ask people for donations. The 4,000 people were suckers and donated to this woman, this race-baiting mother of Asher's former friend, and she got 119 grand. So to me, it seems like racial extortion. I call you a racist, and it's, the extortion's not from you, but the money's come from people for me lying and destroying your life. Is that about right?
That's right on it. But this was worse than extortion. Extortion is sort of like blackmail, where you promise if someone doesn't give you something,
yes,
you are going to release bad information. They did this for sport, Chris. There was not a dang thing that Asher could have done. They didn't even ask for an apology. They didn't give him that opportunity. Within 36 hours of this mother learning that this had occurred, she never called the parents. She never called the kid. She hired a lawyer and had a GoFundMe up in 36 hours. This was worse than extortion. Extortion implies that he had the opportunity to pay him off. He didn't have that opportunity. They destroyed this man's life for sport.
Okay, now, Asher, I want to ask you this. At the time you were 14 when all this was happening, a brick was thrown through your window at your home. People were outside of your house, I presume, terrorizing you, boycotting you, protesting you in front of your home. You were doxxed by the mother of this son, the mother who claimed all this these bogus racial charges to get money out of suckers all over the country and GoFundMe. Tell me, what was this like living through this, and how were you terrorized, and what was it like when the brick was thrown through your window? What was it like seeing people outside? How many of them were out there? Who were these people? And also, what did they do to your dad's business?
Yes, it was like living hell. I was genuinely so scared. My own sanctuary, my own house where, I sleep at, I had adults, right? They're not kids at my school. They're full-grown adults with lives who know better, who know right and wrong. And they're still coming to my house to throw bricks through my window to terrorize me. I'm scared. If they see me through the window, they could just rip me from my house and beat me and kill me right on the street, right there. And no one's going to do anything about it because everyone's at this hate path on me. I was so scared. I had to move from my dad's house and live with my mom all the way up in out of county lines. That's not where I normally live, and I hated it. I felt like an outcast already, and now I feel like I have nobody, no one, and I didn't. It wasn't just in person though, online on social media, like 400, 800 random people were adding me on social media, on Snapchat, Instagram, and just telling me that they're going to kill me. They're going to gut me. They're going to hang my intestines out in front of my house and make my parents watch, all the way from me, my little sister, to my parents, to even my grandparents are all going to get murdered for my actions.
Were you in the home? Who were these people outside of your house? Was there some group? Was there a race hustling group out there? Was it just random people?
Yeah, they were Next Generation.
That is Dominique Alexander. Dominique Alexander who is a convicted baby beater. He is convicted of shaking and beating a black baby boy. He's also his black baby mama, who he won't put a ring on her finger. He popped out kids with her. She came public and said he beat the crap out of her. That man goes after black women and black babies to physically hurt them, but he won't ever go after a man. That guy is a fraud, a bottom dweller, and a race hustler. That's a nice way of putting him. I've been going after that clown for years. So Dominique Alexander and his next generation race hustling group came to your house and terrorized you. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, Kim Cole was their Kim Cole was their general counsel, Next Generation Action Network. So this was a perfect storm.
Yes, Kim T. Cole, who is a race hustler and a bottom dweller, that's where I remember her from. Is with that black baby beater and black woman beater, according to her, is who then she was running for city council. She said he beat her, if you recall. They had a press conference. He said he broke her toe. So that's who was over at your house terrorizing you. Now, I'm happy to hear that Kim T. Cole got a $3.2 million judgment levied against her and this race hustling mom. But you tell me this: who threw the brick through your window? Who was home when that happened?
I don't know. I was personally at my little sister's volleyball game.
Was anybody home?
Yeah.
Someone was home.
Who was? Were they terrorized? What was it like for them? Did they? I mean, obviously they told you.
It was my father. He was home, and he just kind of hid out in the bathroom. He blocked himself up and called the cops. And
they never caught the person that did it, though, huh?
Nope.
First thing I would do with that was, first of all, I got cameras up that might help. But the second thing I would do is grab my gun, and that person would be having a gun. Ready to do something. That's terrorism. That is terrorism, like what happened to black people in the 50s and 60s with the Ku Klux Klan. Unbelievable. Let me continue on with this though. Are people? Let me this. Are people too quick? Because this happened in Plano and Collin County, Texas. Are people too quick to believe false allegations of racism?
Yes, and that's been shown so many times before. Just mine. Yes.
Are you familiar with Nicholas Sandmann, who got a massive settlement for false allegations of racism and all sorts of stuff? Who was vilified wrongly by fake news, CNN and stuff. Are you familiar with Nicholas Sandmann? And do you consider yourself? I do, but do you consider yourself somebody like a Nicholas Sandmann who fought back and won?
Yes, it's very similar.
Tell me why it's similar in your opinion.
Well, I think that, and I'll step in here if it's okay. I think it's similar because what you have is something in a snipped clip without any context that somebody with ill motives decides to spin to raise money or create clickbait. Like I think it was CNN that they did that in the Sandman case. And so they take a small piece that if looked alone, and they have endless commentary and people wooing and crying and screaming over it, that it creates this false narrative that just snowballs, and it snowballs into something bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's exactly what happened here. These were 5 stupid 13-year-olds that were, thought it was wise in 20-degree weather to go frog hunting, that were just being dumb. And yeah, they probably needed their little butts whooped and to be grounded, but they didn't deserve to have their childhood ruined. And this was at a time in our history, and I hope that we have finally moved past it, where all you had to do was get on the news and say the R word, and you were showered with endless praise and bravery and money, no matter whose life on the other end was ruined, and no matter whether or not those allegations were remotely true. Race
baiting, race hustling to extort or to get money out of people for false allegations. Let me ask you a few more questions on this for you, Asher Van, former Plano ISD student. What happened with these false racial allegations with school? What happened to your relationship with people and your livelihood, your ability to live in school and in middle school and then high school after these false racial attacks? And then what about your job, ability to have a job or anything like that, to have a normal teenage life?
It completely ruined my ability to make friends, have friends. my job. I mean, everything. I was completely blacklisted from being a friend to anybody, if that was at my normal school, or it was my new school that I had to switch to because I was so scared that someone would have attacked me, someone would have, just not believe me. They would have just attacked me for no reason. So yes, I had to switch schools, and it was hard making friends at that new school, even because everyone in Collin County has heard of it, even outside of Collin County. But everyone in Collin County has heard of it, so everyone knew at that new school too. It was so hard. I could count friends on one hand throughout my whole entire high school life.
Did people randomly come up to you at school and say vile things to you or do vile things to you because of this?
I have had someone after school they said, "You're that racist boy. You're why are you here? Get out of here." I remember it was after football practice and some more stuff happened, but yeah, it was horrible. I hated it. I couldn't even do my thing that I liked, and that was play football.
I mean, I hated my life in high school for half the time at least, being picked on and bullied. But this is a whole other level where you are nationally terrorized and labeled a racist for no reason whatsoever. I want to ask about the vice principal, Linda Washington, and the principal who were brought in, Shauna Cohn, if that's her proper pronunciation of her name, in depositions in this case, this $3.2 million judgment that Asher and you, Attorney Justin Nichols, won over false allegations of racism and terrorizing this family. I want to ask you about this. The vice principal did an investigation. The principal did an investigation. This whole thing is about fake racial animus and racial attacks. What did they say in their deposition regarding this, Attorney Justin Nichols, the vice principal and principal?
Well, but not only just the vice principal and principal, both found that none of the actions that took place were based on racial animus or had any racial motivation. The police department found the same thing. Kim Cole and Summer Smith wouldn't accept that result. They needed this to be about race. Otherwise, they couldn't get the fame and couldn't get the money. And everyone who looked at this, including the jurors in Collin County who looked at this over 4 days, all reached the same conclusion. And you still have Kim Cole and Summer Smith looking into a camera within the last year and at trial saying they are not sorry, they are proud of how they acted, and they would do everything just the same.
So the vice principal and principal and the police department in Plano all said there was no racial issue in this, and that the mother of Asher's former friend at 14 years of age and Next Generation Action Network, Dominique Alexander's attorney, Kim T. Cole, lied, used all this to make fake racial animus and to profit off of it, correct?
That's my opinion of the. I think you got it right.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: why did the jury rule in your favor, and why did the judge rule in your favor? Because he came back and gave even a larger judgment.
So the judge added attorney's fees and denied Kim Cole and Summer Smith's attempt to have him disregard the jury and grant Asher nothing. I think the jury, they reviewed dozens of pieces of evidence, including videos, electronic evidence, emails, GoFundMe records, bank records, social media posts. They looked at this from all different directions. And I think in order to find that they intentionally inflicted emotional distress on Asher, and in order to find that they invaded his privacy, they had to believe that the truth is all they had to believe, because we set out an exact, comprehensive timeline of how everything happened and what the underlying allegations were and what facts there were to support it, and more importantly, what evidence there was that didn't support their claims. And they found that, given the GoFundMe, given the way it was spent, this was motive that these folks used, and into doing so, they had to hurt Asher, and they did that. And the judge, I think he sat through all the same evidence, was not willing to overturn their attempts to disregard a jury of their peers.
Now, another thing, so they raised $119,000 over false allegations of racism against 14-year-old at the time Asher. They raised $119,000. Tell me what you found that they spent that money on. Tell me what they said they were using it for.
Oh man, you put the nail on the head earlier when you said 4,000 some odd people were
Suckers.
duped. And
Suckers.
They were, and they're victims too. I hope some of them come out of the woodwork and sue them for fraud, because we certainly weren't donors, but they got duped. But this money, and it took forever. She worked so hard to keep us from getting the records, but we wouldn't stop, and we got them. And what we found was astounding. Vape stores, liquor stores, new cell phones, a $2,000 car payment, rent, trip to Hawaii, Airbnb, trips to New York, payments to her cousin for a so-called service/designer dog that they later in social media posts started breeding and selling the puppies. Outrageous stuff. The only evidence that they could, by the way, none of it was spent on counseling as they said in the GoFundMe campaign. And the only amount that was ever spent on so-called private school, the taxpayers paid for the rest of that child's education.
Oh my gosh.
Was at the very end, 4 years later, she used GoFundMe money to pay about $900 in tuition for a correspondence course so that he could graduate from high school. But at the end of the day, the GoFundMe money, none of it used on anything. She was living high on the hog. And she took everyone to the cleaners.
This is disgusting, Justin. This is filthy.
It's absolutely vulgar. And the fact, and what's shocking, Chris, is that GoFundMe campaign was alive and active through the trial. It was not until after. Yes, and it was not until after the judgment that we were able to send it to GoFundMe, and apparently they got it shut down.
Wow.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Wow.
This has been shocking.
I just, this is unbelievable. Right here in Plano, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Collin County. This is unfreaking believable. So let me ask you this. The $3.2 million judgment that you got from these race hustlers, Kim T. Cole with Dominique Alexander's group, Dominique Alexander, the black baby beater and accused black woman beater, won't ever go after a black man for some reason, or any men, because he's a coward and a sick, twisted race hustler. But what's going to happen? What's the $3.2 million judgment? How is Kim T. Cole going to pay for this? Does she stand to lose her law license? And how is this woman who destroyed your reputation, Mrs. Summer Smith, how is she going to pay for it? And how are you going to garnish or get those wages or money?
Well, I'll tell you what, the world is a big place and I need lots of cardio, so I'm going to chase them till the end of it. So we get
attorney and a comedian here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm serious. I am passionate about this case. I have been on this case since the very beginning when no other attorney would take it, and I have gotten to know the Van family as good and decent people. Mm-hmm. And what has happened to them, and this judgment is going to give us a tool to use every single collection effort under the law. Good. Now, we cannot, just because she has a judgment doesn't mean she loses her law license.
Right. That's right. Yes.
But it definitely means that if she owns a law firm, we can look at the interest in that. Profits from future cases.
Yes.
Good. By the way, Summer Smith works at a law firm as a paralegal for a law firm that's right here in Dallas.
Oh my gosh.
Continues to do it.
What law firm?
Knox Rickson, and that was as of early January. Her employer appeared pursuant to a subpoena and had to be forced to hand over her payroll records.
Good.
After she claimed that she was too poor to pay the costs for appeals. So she wanted the taxpayers to pay for the court transcript and the court records so she could appeal. Filled out an affidavit. Oh, I don't make this much money. We subpoenaed the law firm records.
What did the law firm records show that she makes?
She's enjoying a smooth $88,000 salary, is what the court found.
How much of that can you take over time?
Well, as soon as it's deposited, I'll be looking at where it is. Her post-judgment discovery requests are due at the end of the month, and I look forward to seeing them.
Yes! Yes! I am pumping my fists. I am overjoyed that somebody that tried to destroy your life, Asher, and your family's life with lies of racism has been appears to be have taken down, even though they won't admit, they won't apologize. Now, let me ask you this, Asher. This is very, very important. I know this is important to you. The mother is Summer Smith, but the young man is how do you say it? Simeon Smith or
Samarian Humphrey.
Samarian Humphrey. Okay, Samarian. As far as you know, because it's very hurtful, I never went through what you've gone through, but things where stuff happens, I'm going to guess that Samarian didn't want to do any of this. I'm going to guess that you know that it's not him in any way, shape, or form, but you tell me what your relationship is like now and what you think really happened with Samarian Humphrey, the son of Summer Smith.
I don't have too much knowledge on it. I don't. Because of that, I don't want to really speak on it. But
right.
I mean, I wish him well and hope he's doing good.
So you don't, basically, I guess what I was trying to get at, you don't think he had anything to do with this or he wanted to do any of this stuff. He's probably, is that right?
I think his mom used him.
Okay, so that's really important. Your former really good friend, black kid, stuff went down that wasn't abnormal for teenagers doing dumb things. She turned this into a race issue, went national, made it viral, doxed you, correct? Doxed you publicly,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And vilified you and terrorized you and encouraged terrorism in your house. And then she lied, Justin Nichols' attorney. She lied and said, it's not my fault. I didn't ask people to do these things, as if that excuses you for lying and saying vile things about fake racial animus against this young man. That doesn't excuse you. That doesn't abdicate you or absolve you, does it, when you do those things on social media?
Absolutely. It's exactly like when we did this at trial. You don't get to light a match and set a forest fire and then say, well, the houses that burned on the other side of the forest, that wasn't my fault. I'm standing over here.
Right.
She did it she didn't just light a match. She gave it kindling. She blew on it. She fanned it. She made it grow into a beautiful white hot fire on social media and across the world. And then she fiddled while the lives of these people burned and collected money happily, and to this day has not shown one bit of remorse. It's always with these people someone else's fault. They didn't do anything wrong. And finally, people are hearing Asher's story and deciding that actually we are not going to tolerate this in our society.
Asher, have you gotten your reputation back, or is it still kind of the same, but at least it's out there and then you can say it if somebody talks to you about it?
That process is starting, so I'm really glad.
I'm very, very, very happy for you. I'm very happy that you stood up. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud that you fought back. You are the Nicholas Sandman of North Texas and Texas, and I could not be happier. One more thing, and that is for Attorney Justin Nichols. How common are cases like this that you guys fought and won, and how common are these cases, and how common is it for them to win?
They're very difficult because most of the truth is it takes a lot of time and resources. I mean, this has been a 5-year-long case to clear one young man's name. And the truth is, the sad truth is this happens all the time, and many people do not get justice. They have to swallow it, suck it up, and live with the shame of this, undeserved shame, for the rest of their lives. And it has been an honor to represent Asher. It's been an honor to be a part of this process. But I'll tell you, there's not enough lawyers and that's rare because there's already too many damn lawyers, but there's not enough lawyers. There's not enough lawyers doing this work to clear the name of these innocent people. It's a lot more fun and it's a lot more glitzy to be in Kim Cole's position where a news camera will get in front of you for any reason, as long as you make these special claims. You automatically get coverage. It's much harder to be on this side, but I'll tell you what, when I look back at the end of my career, I'm going to know that I was on the right side of this case.
It's a big one. And finally, do you think, Attorney Justin Nichols, that the race baiting and horrible actions of Summer Smith the mom, and Kim T. Cole, the Next Generation Action Network, Dominique Alexander's attorney. Do you think privately or in their own private home by themselves that they regret doing what they did? Do you think they would change? I know they said they didn't, but do you think they regret it? Do you think they would have changed what they did? And how do you think this is going to affect both of these ladies' private and public and professional lives?
The sad truth is, I don't think privately they believe anything differently than they do publicly.
Wow.
They have such a righteous victim mentality.
So they believe
that is ingrained. And I remember holding my glasses up in front of Kim Cole and saying that she looks at the entire world through a lens.
DEI.
And everything through Kim Cole's lenses, in my opinion, is racism. And I believe they truly are sitting at home, victim. Not ashamed, with no regrets, and they haven't changed. But publicly, I hope that other clients and other people and the public, when they see these names and these types of claims being raised, that they will think twice and that they will know that there is always more to the story, and that more to the story is normally a hell of a lot closer to the truth.
So this is like DEI, oppressor, oppressed, and that would make me, you, Attorney Justin Nichols, Asher Van, oppressors, and therefore the attorney and mom could do nothing wrong because they're black and therefore they're oppressed. Is that pretty much accurate?
That is
DEI.
There is nothing that you can say that's going to change their worldview.
I want to just say thank you guys. Again, I'm really proud of you. I'm so grateful that we got to spend some good time together because everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs to know about this, and they're going to keep doing the media circuit tour. I'm very proud to get you right at the beginning of this media circuit tour. This needs to blow up everywhere. God bless you too, okay?
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, guys. I'm proud of you, Asher. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. That was incredible. I just got to sit here for a moment with you. That was absolutely incredible. Holy crap. First of all, you should watch the whole interview if you're just catching me right now. But what we just learned today is a 14-year-old boy in Plano, about 4 or 5 years ago, had a sleepover. Some stuff went down that was not good, but it was like typical teenage stuff. One of the kids is black. His mom said, "Oh my gosh, I can use this and lie and say my son is a victim of racial attacks and racism." And then she put it out on social media. She doxed the kid and went nuts, and it went viral. And then this kid's life was destroyed. They threw a brick through his house. The Dominique Alexander, the black baby beater, convicted black baby beater, and accused by his own baby mama of being a baby mama beater. So he beats, according to her, black women and black babies, according to the conviction, the pleading of guilty. But he won't go after a black man or a men at all. It's his race hustling group, and Kim T. Cole is his lawyer, and she and that mom that lied just lost a $3.2 million judgment against them, and he's going to go after that attorney, Justin Nichols. I highly recommend the dude. I talked to him off the air a day or two ago, and just now, I mean, he will go for the rest of his life, be proud of this case, but he will also get every single dime out of this woman who still doesn't admit being wrong, and that attorney. I wish that they could take away her law license. I forgot to ask him about the Texas State Bar Association if he'll file a complaint. I'll email him, and I'll follow up with you on the next podcast. But I this is amazing. I really hope you catch this from the beginning. It is incredible. And it does matter to all of us because any one of us could be labeled a racist, doxxed, and gone after. And this all took place in Plano, in Collin County, Texas, in suburban DFW, and it could be any one of us at any time. And they stood up, and yes, they agree with me, and I agree that he's the Nicholas Sandmann of Dallas-Fort Worth. He's the Nicholas Sandmann of Texas, fighting back and winning his case. God bless Nicholas Sandmann. God bless this kid. God bless Kyle Rittenhouse et al. Wow. I feel like I need a cigarette now, even though I haven't smoked in like 15, 20 years. Woo! Okay. Let's also jump in on the next one. The transgender terrorist from Canada. I got more information on him. And I have also a young lady who has detransitioned in Texas. And she is now in front of the Texas Supreme Court arguing for her case, which I'll explain in a minute. It's horrifying what happened to her, what doctors did to her, what her parents allowed done to her as a child. It's very sad. And when you hear and learn the specifics, it will get you emotional. So that in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you this, that Croc Talk with Chris Croc is brought to you by IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin's been my CPA for over 7 or 8 years. He's incredible. He's a dear friend. We went to Sunday school together, he, his wife, Norma, and my wife and I, 12, 13 years ago, and that's when we became friends. But Randy is an incredible CPA. If you have IRS problems, if you need tax planning strategies and tax planning, any issues with your company, with tax, with the IRS, he's your guy. IRSprob.com, as Randy says, IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com. All right, and tell him, of course, that Chris Croc sent you. Randy is local. He's in North Dallas on Quorum Drive, and he's awesome. Love him very much. We both have strong belief in each other, and that's important for friends. So we have more on this transgender terrorist. What I'm going to do for you in a second is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you video. And the video is it's the same thing I've told you about with the transgender terrorist shootings prior. And I've got a list of the prior transgender terrorist shootings that I'll be playing for you here in just a second. Let's go down to, hold on one second, because the list is long, and it's very important to be able to share that with you. Here we go. Transgender mass shooters. Tumbler Ridge, transgender shooter. Nashville Covenant Academy, transgender shooter. Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, transgender shooter. Denver STEM School, transgender shooter. Aberdeen, Maryland, transgender shooter. Colorado Springs, non-binary. It's mental illness. I also told you yesterday that on yesterday's podcast, I told you that the transgender terrorist in Nashville, Audrey Hale, girl, said that she was a man, and she wrote in her drawings stuff about the devil, Satan, and that he was telling her to do this, so that she, was listening to him, obeying him, and all sorts of stuff like that, satanic. I also told you yesterday that there was a satanic, just deep, visceral, guttural, as if Satan himself was laughing through him, that were horrifying, that I played on the radio and such at the time before I launched my podcast, because I wanted people to hear the depths of evil and satanic, Satanism, whatever that was in this person, demonic type possession. What I didn't know is there would be another video like that for the transgender terrorist in British Columbia, but there is one, and it is unbelievably horrifying, and I'm going to have to play it for you, because you need to see the depths of mental illness of transgenderism. It is a mental illness. It is a mental illness that is not to be, somebody's not to be mistreated or belittled or attacked. It's not for you to tell as a parent that, you're not part of my family anymore, I don't love you, or you're going to hell. That's all BS. You love your kid unconditionally, but you gently shepherd them through this, because the former head of the Johns Hopkins Gender Dysphoria Clinic, who's still an active doctor on staff at Johns Hopkins, said that about 90% of them, by the time they're done with adolescence, and they're whatever, 19, 20, 21, 22, they realize, you know what, I'm okay with my body, and I want to just be the way I am. I don't need to butcher myself. And if we just hold their hand and shepherd them and get them healthy counseling through this, that doesn't approve of it or bless it, but just loves them and helps them share and helps them to see maybe they were abused, maybe they have a mental illness, maybe they need some medication, but love them through it, they will come out, like 90% of them at least, and say, I'm okay with my body. I'm okay with my body the way God made me. Let's go to show another demonic possession. First of all, this is the picture. Let's see here. This is the picture of him with all these hearts, the transgender terrorist who killed children and wounded 25 people. See all the love hearts? It's all about love. Worship transgenderism, worship your kids and let them be the god of their own planet or their own body. Let them be a little god, and you let them run everything, because you as a parent also are mentally ill if you want to push this stuff and believe in it. To do this to your child, let them be their own god and say that God made them wrong. The potter made the clay wrong. Now, let's go to this. Oh, and here's another thing. Now, I'm going to go to the satanic laugh first. I wish I didn't have to show this to you. I wish I didn't see it. This is the transgender terrorist in British Columbia. Here it is. Transgenderism is normal. Transgenderism is not a mental illness. If your son wants to cut his big swinging you-know-what off, let him. If your son wants to take transition hormones, let him. If your daughter wants to butcher her breasts off, and you're going to hear from the woman in Texas who's suing a detransitioner, it's horrifying what she has to go through now, physically. It's very sad and horrifying. Poor sweetheart. This guy is a mental illness man, and he's a murderer and a killer. And instead of getting loving, kind, shepherding help that said, you're not a woman and it's going to be okay, we're going to get you help, they entertained it. And a mom is a radical pro-trans woman. She's now dead, killed by that crazy son you just saw. This is a post that she put up, and I'll read it towards the bottom. Actually, I might read the whole thing, but basically, she's mad that people are allegedly picking on and hating transgender kids. I normally don't say anything. I normally don't go on S-Book instead of Facebook to see the keyboard warriors, and I know I can't control everything or shield my kids from everything, but we don't have to bring our kids up in a world full of hatred. Do you have any idea how many kids are killing themselves over this kind of hate? Please stop this BS. Protect trans kid, hashtag. Do you have any idea how many kids are killing themselves? Well, ma'am, your son killed you and his little stepbrother. The other one ran out and told the neighbors who called cops. So you're dead, unfortunately, and your son is dead, unfortunately, and he went and killed 8 people, I believe it is, and then wounded 25 other children, 12 years of age, 13 years of age, at a middle school, and then he killed himself. So protect trans kids from themselves. Protect trans kids from themselves. More information on this. Oh, here's another video. He also is reported to have made a Roblox video of a mall by his house and of him shooting and killing people all over the mall, murdering people in a mass shooting, which is what he ended up doing at a middle school. Here we go. This is a picture of him and the Roblox set he designed. So here he is going through the mall and killing people like he did at the school. Same thing. I think you get the drift. There were numerous police visits to the house. And, I mean, this is so vile. Look at his build, how muscular he is. I mean, that's a man going after and slaughtering 12 and 13-year-old children and teachers. See that gun? Let me share some details. This is horrible mental illness and devil stuff, man. This is insane. And you have ABC News lying and saying, calling this guy a woman and her, and you have Reuters saying her and all sorts of stuff like that. It's just insane. Okay, so a 12-year-old girl is clinging to life. She was shot in the neck. 24 other children and teachers were wounded when that 18-year-old transgender terrorist went in there. Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, killing 8 people before dying by suicide. I played you audio yesterday of the Canadian, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and they never said, they called it a gun person. He's a gun person. They didn't say he. They said gun person or she. And then finally, a conservative outlet said, it's called Rebel News in Canada. It's like the only conservative news outlet they have, I believe, in Canada. And he said, why are you not telling the truth that this is a man and he's transgender? He goes, well, nobody asked. Well, because he wasn't going to tell you. And those police cars that responded, I showed you on yesterday's podcast, they have rainbow colors, the gay LGBTQ rainbow flag. It's color streaked on the whole side of both cars, responding to a transgender terrorist that they call a she or a gun person. So this guy gets his butt kissed and gets everything he wants from his mom, who even is lying and saying protect trans kids or they'll kill themselves. He killed himself after he killed her and all these other people. So the whole thing is a lie. His mom's appeasing him. His family's appeasing him. His government is appeasing him. His community, well, at least the ones on the left, are appeasing him. And it didn't work. They call him a her. They let him dress himself up like a girl. Let him wear a skirt. And it didn't work. He still slaughtered a bunch of people. It does not work. At least 24 children and teachers wounded at this middle school. They call it secondary school, killing 8 people and then dying before suicide. Yes, protect trans lives from themselves. Damage to this 12-year-old girl's brain was too much for her to endure. She was likely unlikely to survive through the night, Mom says. The 12-year-old miraculously defied the odds. Quote, Mom says, they tell me if she survives, her life will only be feeding tubes and round-the-clock care. I feel cruel for keeping her, but they don't know her like I do, Mom says. He first killed the transgender terrorist, first killed his mother, Jennifer, and stepbrother, Emmett, before attacking the nearby school. He has a history, the Daily Mail reports, of mental health contacts with police. He killed a female teacher, aged 39, and 3 girls, all aged 12, and 2 boys, aged 12 and 13. Those are 6th graders, man. 7th graders. Satanic. He even stopped attending school 4 years ago at the age of 14, and at least once had to be, quote, apprehended for assessment under the country's Mental Health Act. But yet, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the world in Canada, and yet there he is, mowing people down, killing them and himself and his mom. The police have attended to the residence in the past, approximately a couple of years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. At a later point in time, the lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for those firearms to be returned, and they were. Those who knew him said he was a quiet kid who was often seen sitting by himself in the corner. See, he needed help, not approval. Help. At the school, 1 victim was found in a stairwell, and the rest were found in the library. This is just horrible. He had a handgun and a long rifle. Canada has stringent gun controls, reports Breitbart, including a freeze on the purchase of handguns. They did not prevent Tuesday's mass shooting. Canada has a red flag law. Didn't work. The Guardian says police had attended his residence multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with mental health concerns of the suspect. He had attended that school before dropping out 4 years ago, just like Audrey Hale, the transgender terrorist, Satanist shooter, attended that Christian school, and she wanted to target and kill Christian kids. Now remember, she was targeting, I think it was a mall or another area in Nashville, but she saw there were armed guards, so she said that's just too much. So she went to a school where there was no armed guards. Pack your weapon, folks. You don't have to have license to carry anymore, but I'm licensed to carry. I love it still because it gives me reciprocity in all states around Texas. New Mexico, Colorado, Missouri, Louisiana, Arkansas. So anyways, and a whole bunch more. I love that. So you can conceal carry in a lot of places. Now I'm going to share something with you that is very, very, very important. And I really want you to just soak this up. And it's just horrifying and terrible, the sweetheart girl. I'm very proud of her for being public. Her name is Soren Aldaco. She has a case right now before the Texas State Supreme Court. And what it is it's about her former being transgender and having her breast cut off and getting hormones. She's trying to sue her doctors for malpractice. The problem is the Texas state law says has a what's it called? Can't remember what it's called. I know this term. I use it all the time. A sunset on lawsuits. The word will come to me in a second. But statute of limitations, I think, 2 years. At 2 years, you cannot sue for medical malpractice. She's trying to get the Texas Supreme Court to overrule because the malpractice is still continuing right now, is what her argument is. Whether she wins or not, it's not based on the validity of her case. It's just based on the time frame. Let's read what she said today in the Wall Street Journal. This is so awesome. And I highlight stuff when I read it so I can truncate it when I share with you. But I literally underline and highlight almost the entire thing because it's just good. This is going to be worth every scintilla. Trust me. So she wrote this today in the Wall Street Journal. Sorry, I got a cold I'm dealing with. Born 10 years earlier, she said she was 11 when she began identifying as transgender. Were I born 10 years earlier, we would have had, me and my friend, who was similar, she said, would have been called tomboys. Instead, we writhed under the pressure of, quote, the female role. The internet told us the logical conclusion of that struggle was to identify as boys. Now, here's where a lot of this comes in. You heard of the transgender terrorist family, that stepmother and stepson, brother or whatever. I come from a broken home, she says. These are vulnerable families, quite often. Vulnerable families. My stepfather became severely disabled when I was 3, leaving me feeling as though I had to raise myself. Again, vulnerable families. I reached out eventually to my biological father around a decade later when he and my stepmother saw my distress and were told by a psychiatrist that this distress was related to my transgender identity. They began to consider the benefits of affirming me in my transition. Too young to vote or drink, so she's still a minor, I became immersed in the idea that hormones and surgeries would fix me. And that's the lie. I talked about this yesterday. At the transgender support group I attended, most of the focus was on who was starting hormones and how it was going for them. The lies are spread. The affirmations of doing it are spread. I was envious, she says. I wanted the same feelings of affirmation that they had. Many of them were on hormones prescribed by a nurse practitioner who had attended the group. Here's the person doing it all. When I was 17, she says, with my stepmom, I went with my stepmom to see that nurse practitioner. Within 30 minutes, I was prescribed testosterone and estrogen blockers. These hormones were one of the many medical interventions I pursued in my teens. At 19, I had top surgery. This is going to turn out to be horrifying, what I share with you. That's a double mastectomy. Both of her breasts were cut off. This beautiful young woman. My surgeon made sure to facilitate my physical transition as much as possible, spoon-feeding me talking points for insurance coverage. I donned rainbow hair, medical knee braces, and prescription compression socks to my surgery date. I was on more than 10 different medications when I went under the knife. After this surgery, I suffered major complications. I had severe bruising all down my rib cage, along my sides and on my chest, because she's a beautiful young woman. This is not supposed to happen. My surgeons repeatedly dismissed me when I came to them with these problems. That's abuse. That's malpractice. Eventually, she writes, I sought care at a local emergency room where hospital personnel told me only breast oncology would see me, breast cancer people. These doctors were kind, used to working with vulnerable women. The realization that I had been gaslit sunk in as I watched them cut my scars back open, empty out nearly 3 cups of blood, and sew in Penrose drains. I don't even know what those are, but this just sounds so horrific and terrible. Penrose drains. Let's see. See what that is. I'm looking at Penrose drain diagram. That's a little too complicated. I'll just see Penrose drain. Soft, flexible rubber tube used after surgery to drain fluids from a wound, helping to prevent infection and promote healing. It works by allowing blood and other fluids to flow out of the body, reducing the risk of fluid buildup at the surgical site. Oh my gosh. There's an image of somebody with those being put in, and it looks horrifying. Ugh. I'm going to close that website. Ugh. She goes on. I made the decision to face who I really was. Without the medicine, without the hormones or additional surgery. 6 months after this experience, while taking classes at UT Austin, I began to make sense of my transgender identity through the lens of human development, piecing together my turbulent family life and adolescent internet habits. Among other things, it dawned on me that I had never been born in the wrong body. See? Mental illness to think that, and it's mental illness to encourage that as a parent. Or teacher. There was no way to be born in the wrong body at all. At 23 years old today, I've come to realize how coercive gender identity ideology was for me, disguising harm as compassion. I also realize that sometimes the compassionate response is the one that sets firm boundaries. Kids want boundaries. They may not admit it, but they want boundaries. They crave boundaries. And that's on her parents for not protecting her. I've said this over and over again a lot, that kids need boundaries, and these parents are the ones that are, as a minor child, responsible, and shame on them, and that it's mental illness to entertain their mental illness. The statute of limitations for medical malpractice ends after 2 years. She's going before the Supreme Court of Texas. She says it was never something I saw myself doing, let alone doing because I listened to my doctors. People like me deserve justice. I believe that God places burdens on people who can carry them, and I trust that whatever comes next will be made right on time. I'm going to be reaching out to Soren Aldaco to see if she'll come on this podcast. Excuse me. As I said, I'm sick, so I have to get a little, my gosh, huh? My gosh. Let's go to the walkouts. I did it yesterday. I'm going to do it again. Here is, first, the picture of the walkouts from Boswell High in North Fort Worth. We zoom in closer. We're going to see something else. Here we go. You zoom in closer and look at that. Who is that person? She's got a cell phone recording it. She's got looks like an ID badge in her left hand and a sign. Is that a teacher protesting with the kids? If so, she needs to be fired and lose her teaching license. I've also told you about Boswell High's principal, who is being accused of, and Star Telegram says there's audio from the students that they provided, video and audio, of Principal Ryan Wilson encouraging them to protest, saying, "I'm responsible for your safety," seemingly backing the entire thing, according to the Star Telegram, in a video that they have not let go public, but the students have. And the students are mad at him because they say, "What are you doing? Wait a minute. You said you encouraged us to do this. You planned this. You backed us up." And they're saying now to this principal at Boswell High, Ryan Wilson, "Why are you punishing me? You told me that I could do this. You were behind us. You backed us." So it's with that. So those need to go to the state and get investigated, and if found appropriate, if they're found to have been doing those things, fire them, take away their teaching certificates so they can never be in Texas again in a teaching capacity of any kind or administrative capacity. Now, let's go to, this is from my friend Carlos Tercios. He's a good friend of mine from coming on over the years. We haven't had him on in a long time, but Carlos is a young Republican activist, particularly in Tarrant County. So he got this from a concerned Fort Worth ISD parent. Very important. I'm going to read it to you. This is a parent over at Arlington Heights High. Here we go. I saw your post on the Fort Worth ISD Pascal walkout, the Pascal walkout. I have a child who attends Arlington Heights High. The political climate at school right now is horrible. There are a large group of kids that are planning an ice walkout Friday at Arlington Heights High. I have attached the screenshots of their Instagram page below. I'm going to share that with you too. I have it here. Here we go. Stand by. That's the screen grab she's talking about. She says, I've attached the screenshots of their Instagram page below. The principal has said the only discipline action if you do an ice walkout is that you get counted absent and can make up your time in attendance recovery. Well, wow, that's not supposed to be happening. They're supposed to be lose their attendance, and the school's supposed to lose funding. So now the principal there is allegedly encouraging it and saying, no problem, you can protest, and you will ultimately not be punished at all. In Arlington Heights High School, a parent is allegedly saying, there is a dance teacher, she says, that is allowing the students to leave and then post it on her Instagram, which I need to get a copy of that. And post it on her Instagram, which has all the students following, she says, and against ICE post, quote unquote. I have attached a screenshot of her story. She posted Sunday. My child is getting bullied by these kids because they don't care to protest or leave the school. Getting bullied. They are bullying other conservative kids by making TikToks telling them to move schools, death threats online. Several of the conservative kids don't feel safe at school. We as parents have nobody to report this to. My child is terrified. Again, this is at Arlington Heights High School in Fort Worth ISD. My child is terrified of their name in anything as they fear supporting the movement, they fear the bullying will increase. And due to so many teachers supporting the movement, there isn't anyone to report this to. I am hoping you can help. I just want this announcement online or some attention brought to the teacher and how they are encouraging this. I need to remain anonymous for my child's safety and my job. Sincerely concerned, Fort Worth ISD parent. Somebody needs to investigate this and go after Fort Worth ISD at Arlington Heights High. And by the way, aren't you glad the state and the TEA are taking over Fort Worth ISD? Governor Greg Abbott has tweeted about that recently. I think you should be happy about that. I sure am. Minneapolis. Press conference this morning that I caught. Tom Homan, border czar, announcing that they are effectively pulling out of Minneapolis, except for the regular ICE folks they would have there. I am not happy about this at all. To me, I view this as a complete and total surrender. And I think that's really, really bad. And I think that these are the Democrat shock troops. This is who Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, Keith Ellison. This is who Tim Walz and the Democrat Party writ large. This is what they want to happen. And they knew it. This was their plan. Have some of their people be martyrs. Insert themselves and put themselves in a situation where they're killed, and it's a righteous shoot. It's not good that it happens, but it's a righteous shoot, and then use that to destroy ICE's efforts and to get them out, and so that we can keep the 12 to 20 million illegals that Joe Biden brought into this country and let them stay here. Use the shock troops, let them die or get horribly hurt for sympathy to stop them. It worked. I'm not going to lie. I don't like this at all. And I'm not going to make a freaking lie up and say, well, I'm proud of you. You did a good job. This is fine. It's not a surrender. It is a surrender. It is a surrender. I'm telling you the truth. I like Tom Homan, but he's doing what Trump's telling him to do. This is bad. I have no problem with Bravino being put to the side. He meant well, but he was too harsh. And okay, I'll say it. I'll go to that, call it the P coat or whatever he was wearing. It's the official issued Border Patrol P coat, if that's what it's called, a trench coat. It did not look good when he wore that. Sorry, as I said, I'm sick, so I got scratchy throat and stuff. It did not look well. So Bavino was not a good front man. A quarter of the time he was, but the rest he was not. So this is bad. This is bad. I am not happy about this. This says put your people in there, have them get violent, and let them get killed or hurt, and then we win. They don't care about Alex Preddy and Renee Good. They were used. They were the shock troops. Tom Homan announcing, this is from the Daily Mail, Tom Homan announced at the end of the Operation Metro Surge, just weeks after the president deployed him to Minnesota to oversee the crackdown. This is because they're worried about a potential headache for the midterm election. I understand that. And I understand the optics, but there was a way to do it where they don't pull out. There was a way to do it. They're trying to cut their losses and just get out. In a way, I understand, but I'm not happy about it. I'm just not going to lie. I'm not happy. Trump's U-turn in Minneapolis marks a shocking turning point, they write, in his immigration enforcement. To which I wrote, not good. Not good. Local police and elected leaders have made deals with ICE, which is good, to allow them to make arrests from their jails. They're not doing 287G, but they're just saying, if I have an illegal in my jail, which how would you know if you have an illegal in your jail if you're not doing 287G? So this is, I'm calling BS. But they're like, well, when we have an illegal from jail, we're going to notify you 48 hours before we release them, but we're not going to work with you. I think these agreements are most likely weak. I think this is the safe phase. And if they don't have 287G, which I'm gonna be shocked if any counties in Minnesota, they might, but it's probably illegal in the state of Minnesota to have any 287G, which is cooperation, which is where ICE comes in, trains your sheriff's deputies that work in the jail, and gives them software from ICE so they can run every person they bring into the jail through ICE and let ICE know, and then ICE can come pick them up before they're released. I don't think they're doing that. I don't think I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna almost guarantee you, practically guarantee you, that there's a state law in the state of Minnesota that says you can't do 287G. You can't cooperate with ICE in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. The Dallas Express releasing new H-1B visa data, and this is very bad. This should piss you off. And here we go. Top H-1B employers in Texas revealed by new federal data, says the Dallas Express. A handful of technology and consulting giants are dominating H-1B visas in Texas. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services gave these new data details. Top 25 employers in Texas by total H-1B visa approvals, January 1st, 2020 to 2025, basically, for 5 years, 2020 to 2025. Top 25 H-1B visa. Cognizant the top three are Cognizant Technology Solutions, 51. I'm rounding up 51,000 H-1B visas. Infosys Limited, which is an Indian company who was had to do a settlement with the federal government about H-1B visa fraud type of a thing. Infosys Limited, 45,000 not illegals, H-1B visas. Oracle America Inc. 12,000. And then number 4, Tesla. Elon, Tesla. KPMG, which I believe is an accountancy firm, 2,700. Charles Schwab and Company, what? You're supposed to, you want me to invest my money with you? And you're farming out 2,300 people, 2,400 people for H-1B visas? Why would I want to support Charles Schwab and Company? HP, Hewlett Packard Enterprise Company, 2,200. AT&T, a Dallas-based company, 2,000, well, basically 2,100 H-1B visas. American Airlines, another Dallas, Fort Worth-based, North Texas-based employer. American Airlines, 1,700 H-1B visas. Wow, you guys really don't like us, do you? Dell, USA, 1,500. UT Southwestern here in Dallas-Fort Worth, 1,400. What? DISD, Dallas Independent School District, 1,300 if you round. 1,300. Dallas ISD has 1,300 foreigners or foreigners teaching your kids. 1,300 people. They don't trust Americans to do the job, stealing our jobs at DISD. That's vile. Dell LP, Dell Products LP, so that's another Dell apparently, has 1,100. Texas A&M, 1,100. H-1B visas. TI, Texas Instruments, 1,000. Remember, my accountant, Randy Martin from IRSprob.com, he saw TI, too, do that way back when he was there before, as their accountant, one of their accountants, before he launched his business 14 years ago or 15 years ago. Baylor College of Medicine, 1,000 almost. University of Texas at Austin, almost 1,000. Samsung Austin Semiconductor, almost 900. A little bit more on this, if my voice will make it, with my cold. December 5th, Chief U.S. Judge Dolly Gee ruled several of Cognizant's workforce policies, which Cognizant is, I think, the number one H-1B visa, yes, in 51,000 in Texas right now, at least from 2020 to 2025. U.S. Chief Justice Judge Dolly Gee ruled that several of Cognizant's workforce policies had a discriminatory, disparate impact on U.S. workers. Plaintiffs had argued the company engineered a workforce dominated by Indian H-1B visa holders and disproportionately terminated non-visa people like you and me from its internal bench, according to court filings previously reported. Infosys, which is the second largest at 45,000 H-1B visas in America. I'm sorry, in Texas. Infosys ranked second with 45,000 and agreed in 2013 to pay $34 million to settle allegations of systemic visa fraud and abuse of immigration processes. The government alleged the company unlawfully used H-1B visa holders to perform work that should have required H-1B visas and submitted false statements in visa documents. Nail them. This is an Indian corporation in Texas, Infosys Limited. They agreed to enhance compliance measures as part of the settlement, which federal officials described at the time as the largest payment ever levied in an immigration case. This is all from the Dallas Express today. Texas A&M, UT Southwestern, University of Texas at Austin, DISD all appear in the top 25. Greg Abbott ordered a statewide freeze on public employees and public institutions, government employees. Private sector employers on the list have also faced workforce questions. TI ranked 17th with 1,000 approvals, over 1,000 since 2020, conducted several DFW layoffs. So they have over 1,000 H-1Bs at TI, and yet conducted several layoffs, DFW area layoffs in September. It's destroying our economy and us. And they're paying them a lot less. And they're ruining our jobs. 72% of H-1B visas in Texas, apparently. It might be all of them. I don't know. But here we go. Dallas Express says 72% of H-1B visas are awarded to workers from India, 12% from China. There you go. Importing the third world and destroying our country all at the same time. I want to play one more thing for you. This is a group called Camera for Truth. And this is why you really, if you can, we homeschooled. I know it's a financial sacrifice that we did for 15 years. But there's a group called Camera for Truth. I think I have the video in here. If not, I can just share a few highlights. They did yeah, it's right here. Okay. They did an investigation. And this is Philadelphia's public school district. And I'm going to tell you, this is not just going on Philadelphia. This is a nationwide event to destroy the history of this country, to destroy the truth about this country and the good stuff, along with the bad stuff, but destroy the good stuff and to make children through our public school systems, like I've been talking about earlier with the ICE walkouts, to make them useful idiot activists who are ignorant about the truth, about the history of this country, about freedom, our rights. So I'm going to play this. This is from Camera for Truth. Camera, which is a group that exposes stuff like that. Watch this, though. Very important how they're destroying our schools, anti-Semitism, all sorts of stuff.
The School District of Philadelphia, SDP, is the 8th largest school district in the U.S., serving nearly 200,000 students. It's also a hotbed of anti-Semitism.
Can you imagine if you could brainwash 200,000 youth? How you could change this country?
How did we get here? Camera's in-depth report, Shaping Minds, Spreading Hate, How Anti-Semitism Took Root in the School District of Philadelphia, examines the ideology behind major district changes that have led SDP to focus not just on critiquing Western values and institutions, but on calling for their dismantling. SDP remade its entire social studies curriculum so it doesn't cover history chronologically, but thematically. Those themes on which it chose to focus, the 3 sins of Western civilization: capitalism, racism, and settler colonialism. It left out such world-shaping events as the Enlightenment, the French Revolution, World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, to name a few. Despite its obsession with settler colonialism, SDP elevates and whitewashes Islamic history. It includes an excerpt from Sharia law to highlight its promotion of equitable financial transactions.
Remember, Sharia is supposed to be a farce and fake. Remember that I think it was 18% of Texas Muslims said that was it 38% actually, I think, of Muslims in America said they would support Sharia law. Remember that a Muslim Republican from Iran originally was at a forum in the Plano EPIC, the East Plano Islamic Center, and said that Sharia law treats half this room, the women, like cattle, and then a man had to be restrained, and people were getting all mad and shouting and stuff like that. That was on the Dallas Express coverage as well. I played that for you yesterday and the day before. So it's real. Sharia law is real.
With no further context, another lesson presents jihad as just war theory. SDP also includes a lesson questioning what terrorism is, encouraging students to conclude that the U.S. and Israel are perpetrators of terrorism.
Let's go over that real fast. I mentioned this 2 days in a row now, but Hamas just paid out stipends to 50,000 women whose husbands were killed as terrorists in the war with Israel. 50,000. They were allegedly, according to Hamas, the Gaza Health Ministry, which is Hamas, that 80,000 civilians were killed. 50,000 of them, and by Hamas's own admission, were terrorists. What does that mean? 80% of the deaths were jihadis. That is one hell of a good record for urban combat.
SDP's move toward an anti-racist, decolonizing curriculum has emboldened teachers who openly attack Israel, Zionism, and the United States in their classrooms and on social media, where they communicate directly with students. The House Education Committee has announced an investigation into the Philadelphia School District. The Camera Education Department has supported the Congressional Committee with our knowledge and expertise, and we welcome the news of the investigation. The Camera report serves as a warning to communities nationwide. Effectively combating anti-Semitism in K-12 schools requires confronting the underlying ideology that promotes anti-American and anti-Israel sentiment under the banner of social justice.
So, sorry about that. How do you want your child to be taught? I'm not here to tell you you have to homeschool, you need to homeschool. Although we have ESA accounts in Texas now. ESA accounts, educational savings accounts. People who are poor or have or special needs, their children will go first. But it's around $10,000, I think, that you get. Or you could do it for homeschool, where you get $2,000 each child. My wife was pissed that we didn't get that before, but because we could have used the $4,000 a year, because that's about what it cost for at least out of our pocket. But if we can do it, you can do it. None of us were teachers, are teachers, but we bought the right curriculum. And it works. It's great stuff. So I'll see you on the next podcast. And the other thing I want to mention is this. Croc Talk with Chris Croc is brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversies, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Hasta mañana, my friend. Oh, by the way, I don't know if... so I was on the Jesse Kelly show yesterday, which is 220 radio stations across America. That was a lot of fun. But tomorrow, Friday night, I will be on in Florida, Fort Myers, Florida, 92.5 Right All Along, 92.5 Fox News. I'll post it on my social media channels so you can listen live. It'll be 4 to 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 to 8 p.m. East Coast. If you did not catch the first part of this podcast, an incredible interview about a young man who fought back against race-baiting family, a woman actually, and her attorney with Dominique Alexander, that race hustler, convicted baby beater and admitted baby beater and accused baby mama beater, who leads Next Generation Action Network, his race hustling, bottom-dwelling attorney, Kim T. Cole, and her client, a black woman in Plano, lied about this young man, his life, what he did, and destroyed him with false accusations of racism. They just won a $3.2 million judgment in Collin County Court. It's an unbelievable case, and yes, he and his attorney say that he is the Nicholas Sandman of North Texas and of Texas.